Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today is a bit of a different one. We're doing a very rare commentary style video. I don't do too many of these, but I like to do them every now and then. And this I kind of wanted to talk about because it's a hot topic of discussion, is the Judgement, the new killer that came out. Depending when you see this video, about 4 days ago now. So people have had a little bit of practice to go against it, to play as it. And I'll kind of talk about what I think's gonna happen and perks and all of that fun stuff. We'll dig into that can of worms here right away. But I do want to say I also have a B-roll here of a game that I played just yesterday. And I just wanted to show it because there's the highs that are showcased in this as well as the lows of like, aka a survivor juking me like a lot. Or me just sniping people like across the map. So there's a good mix of both, and I think without further ado, I'm just gonna play that right now, and I'm gonna just talk about the killer and what I see in the game and what's happening, and we'll go from there. It's about a 10-minute match, so we'll start now here. So immediately off rip, one of the things you're gonna see is Lethal Pursuer with this killer. And I mean, I don't know why someone wouldn't run this. Because at least the stuff like this, you could just predict where they're going and hit them for free. And I will do it again here on the Fun Man, because I know she's on that gen. So, bam. 2 injuries, we are like 15 seconds into the game. I see she's already triggered dominance. Like, I know in like 16 seconds she's gonna be on that totem again probably. Actually, I just head over here. But I know she's still here because she's waiting for dominance. She touched a dull totem, which is really weird. So she must have had like a totem perk or something for that. But one of the weird things about this killer, which I'm gonna touch on right now, is that the only like, well, I mean, lethal has always been used. Nurses is gonna be meta now, but it didn't used to be. But one of the like the only like quote unquote OG meta perks that I have is Ruin. You're gonna see nurses a lot more now, and you'll see why in this game, because nurses is absolutely incredible on this killer, and it got buffed. It's always been a good perk. Nobody used it for some reason. I don't know why. I liked using it, and now it's even better, so you're probably gonna see that a lot more. But this killer can't use meta perks like Pain Res or Pop Goes the Weasel. And it all comes down to the exile mechanic. As you can see here, I've exiled these 2 survivors, but if I had Pain Res, I can't put them on Scorch Hooks. So I don't get any Pain Res value unless I go out of my way to, you know, not exile them, which is a really hard decision, because exiling benefits you greatly. It frees up like maybe 10 seconds of you having to walk to a hook or finding a Pain Res hook, right? And it also gives you the Zealous form, which is an extremely buffed up, powerful version of your already buffed out of the gourd power. So making the decision to take that or just to get a Pain Res on like a gen, maybe it has its place, I don't know. It's just not readily accessible with this killer. Pop Goes the Weasel, you're never going to get value from that because you're not hooking. It comes down to the same thing, right? If you're not hooking, then you're not going to get Pop Goes the Weasel. My very first game playing as this killer, I didn't realize that, so I put like Pop Goes the Weasel on, and I can't remember what all else perks I had, but I was just trying these. I was like, how good is this killer going to be with meta perks? Well, I got stomped that game because I couldn't use any of the meta perks. I didn't realize that. This also goes the other way as well. Survivor perks that are meta, it kind of negates them too. If I've learned anything, a lot of the survivor perks that are meta deal with hooks. I didn't realize that until playing this killer. So something like Will Make It, which is a very strong perk that everyone has access to. As I'm getting juiced by this Quan here. See, this is the lows I was talking about with this killer. He's already juking me. He already knows how to play against this killer. But anyways, Will Make It. I tried using it in the Survivor games when this killer first came out. And I didn't even realize that it doesn't proc when you save someone from exile. So you don't get a healing bonus when you save them from exile. If they're off hook, yes, you get it, because that's how the perk works, but it doesn't work the other way around. So that perk doesn't work. So you have to slap on something like Botany Knowledge instead. Decisive Strike. If you exile someone, you're not... They're just... they get locked in animation, they don't get to use Decisive Strike, bam, you avoid it. I think things like Deliverance as well, if I'm going by my logic here. I haven't tested Deliverance, but if you save someone from exile and we go by the same logic here, that probably means you don't get Deliverance. Unless it's going off of safe hooks. But it's still not a hook, so I don't know if Deliverance would work either. I would have to test that, but that's a strong perk as well. Even though it got nerfed, it's still really strong. Because they nerfed the wrong thing about it. But that's a whole nother topic. I don't know, this killer is just interesting in that way, and I wanted to cover that right away because this killer's really good, but they're really good without those perks that are like quote-unquote meta. Although, like I said, I will reiterate it again, Nurse's Calling is probably going to be meta now. And Lethal Pursuer has always just been a high-picked perk, so it's kind of meta. But yeah, that's why I wanted to cover that. Now, the thing you might notice in this gameplay is that I'm doing a lot of guess shots. And actually, before I talk on that point, I want to bring up one more thing about perks. I said earlier, like, this killer's good, just good without, you know, the good perks. Whereas someone like Blight is good, but if they have the meta perks, then they're great, right? Whereas this killer, you don't need the meta perks, and they're still insanely good. If you have aura reading perks, or hex perks with this killer, they're gonna be insanely hard to beat, given the right circumstance. I mean, look at this. This is why Nurses is so good on this. I got a double hit, deep wound injury, and then an M1 injury right after that. All three of them are here resetting. Like, this perk is so dirty on this killer. The one thing though, back like when that Quan was, he was juicing me pretty good there. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about is... Sorry, that's just funny. People like Jason are probably not going to be very good against this killer in the first week, right? So I bet you the kill stats, even if you're not good with this kill, they might inflate a bit. Like, even though the kill is hard, like it might be high, like how Jason was, and it should level out like a couple weeks after that. Actually, that'll be interesting to see because I feel like at that point, the only people that are going to be playing this killer are the people that are good with the killer. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to play 2 or 3 games, realize how hard the killer is. They might get 1 kill out of those 3 games, and they're gonna think like, yeah, I'm never touching this killer again. Which, like, fair enough. It's, you know, you play the game to enjoy the game, not to bang your head against the keyboard, right? So it'll be interesting to see that. But I wonder if it's gonna be like a nurse situation. Sorry, that flick caught me off guard. I forgot I did that. That was pretty cool. But it might be a nurse situation where, like, you know, this killer's been out for a month or 2, the kill rate has come down, and behavior might decide to never nerf this killer or touch this killer simply because the stats say that their kill rate is only like 40%. Right? Kind of like the nurse. How the nurse is like, quote unquote, the best killer in the game, right? But they, up until recently, they haven't started touching the nurse, right? So I wonder if that's going to be the kind of same scenario for this killer, because they're definitely one of the best killers in the game, I feel like, but also one of the hardest to play in the game. I think, me personally, I think they are the hardest killer to play in the game. I think like killers like Blight and like Twins for like macro reasons are pretty hard for like newer players to play. Nurse too, for like a newer player, is pretty hard to play, but I feel like this killer, if you stuck a new player on like one of those 4 killers, I feel like they would have the hardest time with this killer, personally. So yeah, I would expect survivors to adapt to this, and when they do, I feel like that's gonna clean up a lot of killers that are trying to play this killer, because they're gonna have a harder time. The survivors are gonna know how to play against you, how to reach you, they're gonna juke you, you're never gonna get heresy, you're never gonna get hits, you're just like, you know, it's gonna be a terrible time. But that'll take some time. So enjoy the killer right now, if, you know, try to get good with them now, and then go from there. But what I will say is, like, you have two options, right? You can either, you know, just stop playing the killer, or like take a break, right? And then come back, maybe try the killer again. Or you can stick with the killer, try to learn them, but remember that, like, you're just trying to use the power, you're just trying to learn the killers, so that would be my message for people that are maybe getting frustrated with the killer. Just, you'll get better in time. This is like the highest skill ceiling killer that you'll ever play. Now, you're never gonna reach that ceiling, but, you know, with enough practice, you could probably get pretty damn close. So, stick with it. This is another plus to this killer. People are pretty much always gonna be heretics if you're using your power. So if you down them, not only do you not have to hook, but on the last hook you can just kill them instantly. There's this calling again. God, that perk is dirty on this killer. But yeah, you just, not only do you never have to hook, you also get a mini Mori. So, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how people feel about this killer. If I was to sum this all up, I would say I actually really love the killer. I think they're super fun to play. Even though they are hard, but I do like the challenge. I don't mind getting stumped one game because I've been trying to do silly trick shots. I know why I lost, right? But I also don't mind the next game where I'm getting a 4K and I'm hitting like all my trick shots, and it feels really good. It's such a satisfying killer to play. So you might actually see me play this killer quite a bit. I enjoy them. Playing against the killer, I've played a decent amount of matches against them. It is harder than it looks to dodge them. I feel like a lot of people say, like, oh, like they could just read where you're gonna throw it and whatever. But it is hard to tell, because especially if someone's like zigzagging it or something, it's hard to tell which direction they're gonna go, and at that point, it reminds me of like going against Henry. You're kind of a 50-50 guessing where the power is gonna end up. And I get why people won't like that, because that was a big point of contention with Henry. He could spam his power, and I don't like the 50-50, I can't tell when he's gonna use his power and stuff like that. So that gives me similar vibes to this, because you can spam your power pretty frequently, and it is a lot of guessing. But me personally, I don't mind that. I liked going against Henry. I liked the 50-50 gamble, the intensity of the chase of like stuff shooting up everywhere, and this killer reminds me of that. So me personally, this killer on both sides is a slam dunk for me. I love it. But I would like to hear, you know, what other people say. I feel like it's going to be a lot of people don't like going against this killer or playing as it, but we'll see. But yeah, that was the end of that match there. I think I pointed out the main things I wanted to see in that match. I know I kind of ramble a lot, but there's just so much to talk about with this killer. But yeah, I pointed out like the Lethal Pursuer, the Nurse's Calling, how good that is in the match there. I got like 2 or 3 instances of pretty good value there in the match. So I didn't really touch on Hexes too much, but Hexes are really good on this killer too. Even though the only Hex perk I've seen run on this killer, other than like Undying, is Ruin. I haven't seen Judgments. I haven't went against a Judgment that has done like a full Hex build yet, which would be extremely dirty. This killer would be better than Jason at doing that. And people thought Jason was good at a Hex build. Like, just wait until you go against... I'm waiting for myself to go against a Hex gamer on the Judgment, and it's probably gonna be pretty miserable, but Thrill did get nerfed, but it's still good. So, I don't know. I like Dominance better, because then I can see when someone has touched it. It's good information, right? And then all I have to do is wait 16 seconds, maybe a couple more seconds on top of that. They'll probably jump back on it, bam, snipe, and I know they're there. But anyways, I'm not gonna ramble too much on. I think I covered enough with this killer. I like them, I like going against them. They're fun to play, they're hard to play, whatever, right? If you're new to the channel, consider liking and subscribing. Sorry, I don't know why my camera's freaking out. Does this. I don't know what it's focusing on back here, but I would have to figure that out. But do consider liking and subscribing. I don't always do like a commentary style video like this, but I like doing them every now and then. They're fun. I'll just be recording B-roll for like stuff, and then all of a sudden I'll have an idea. I'll be like, hey, I should talk about this. So that's that. But usually I do gameplay, Killer or Survivor, and I do like a lot of random builds and stuff, so you can see me suffer with those builds. But anyways, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have an awesome day.